The Financial Occult, How Bloodlines Control Your Money. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the Occult Family's How to Spot Them series. Trigger warning. This video series covers disturbing and very serious topics. Full legal disclaimer in the video description below. In occult families, money isn't just a tool, it's a trap. And for many survivors, the most insidious form of control they ever faced wasn't the obvious abuse. It was the financial sabotage masked as support. This is the ritual of monetary manipulation, the spell of spiritual scarcity enforced through inheritance games, legal deception, and economic dependence. Welcome to the financial arm of bloodline bondage. We're told money is neutral, just energy, just numbers. But inside occult systems, money is weaponized. It becomes a currency of power, an invisible leash to bind the spiritually gifted or financially sovereign back into a system that depends on their suppression. You are allowed to succeed, but only if your success never threatens the family's energetic structure. The moment you become independent, the sabotage begins. Let's make this real. My grandfather left me an inheritance, a sizable one. But somehow, I couldn't access it. Years went by with unanswered questions. Documents vanished. Traces disappeared. What we eventually uncovered was chilling. The trust had been registered in my name, except one letter was missing. A single, deliberate distortion. The E at the end of my name had been dropped. Just enough to render the legal trail untraceable. This wasn't an error. It was a spell. A legal redirection designed to spiritually sever me from my inheritance while making it look like a clerical mistake. Even more disturbing, my mother, by profession a licensed trustee, was assigned legal control over the trust. Her long-term boyfriend at the time? A senior insolvency lawyer. Together, they had both the authority and the strategic knowledge to lock down access, rewrite paperwork, and funnel the assets. They weren't just mismanaging money. They were feeding off of it. When I started asking questions, the retaliation was immediate. First came gaslighting, claims that I was confused, too sensitive, imagining things. Then came the bribes. They offered access, but only if I signed papers I wasn't allowed to fully review. When I refused, they escalated. False reports, harassment, calls to government agencies and health boards, claims of mental instability, all designed to build a paper trail and lay the foundation for a legal takeover, an attempt to trigger psychiatric intervention, and eventually file for power of attorney. That's the financial occult in action. Not just the theft of money, but the rerouting of identity and legal autonomy in a way that looks like care, while functioning as spiritual captivity. This tactic isn't unique to me. It's a global ritual blueprint. How ritual families weaponize wealth. 1. Inheritance as a spiritual hostage situation. If you're the spiritually gifted, the seer, the healer, the one who threatens the bloodline's power structure, you'll often be the one cut off from your rightful inheritance. Not because of lack, but because of design. Control of money means control of your exit route. Denial of access keeps you energetically tethered. You'll hear, "You're not ready." It's for your protection. We're just holding it until the time is right. Translation: your financial sovereignty threatens the curse. 2. The gift that hooks you a parent offers to pay your rent. A sibling gives you money for a down payment, but suddenly you owe them. Not on paper, but emotionally, spiritually, you're now a debtor in the system. Every favor becomes a hook. Every dollar becomes leverage. And the moment you try to move independently, that support vanishes. Often with shame attached. 3. Family businesses as ritual containment. Some occult families use businesses like cloaks, ritual fronts disguised as careers. You're hired into the family and expected to stay there, energetically bound to the enterprise. These roles aren't about success, they're about spiritual monitoring. Try to quit or build your own venture, and sabotage follows. Not because you're leaving a job, but because you're stepping out of a system designed to spiritually cage you. 4. Name spells in legal documents. One of the most common and least understood financial curses is the paperwork spell. Slight name distortions, inverted dates, incomplete filings, or aliases that seem like harmless errors are often deliberate. In spiritual law, your name is a contract. If they alter it, they reroute your legal authority and your spiritual claim. Misspelling your name in official documents doesn't just block money, it breaks inheritance lines, severs energetic contracts, and renders you invisible in the systems meant to serve you. 5. False diagnoses as leverage for guardianship. The final stage of financial ritual control is total legal override. If a bloodline member resists, exposes, or attempts escape, the family may weaponize psychiatry. Reports get filed, rumors are planted, paper trails are created, labeling the individual as unwell, unstable, or dangerous. The goal? Secure guardianship, conservatorship, or power of attorney. Once that's done, your money pays for the very system that silences you. They tried that on me too. When financial sabotage didn't work, they pivoted to character assassination. Reports filed against me to government portals claimed I was involved in sex work. Not because it was true, but because it was shame-based and they assumed shame would stop me. It didn't. But it revealed their strategy. Destroy the financial field by desecrating the name. Make the target too humiliated to speak, too unstable to be trusted, and too broke to fight. That is spiritual warfare through money. Signs of financial ritual. Entrapment. Your inheritance disappeared under suspicious circumstances. Documents tied to your assets contain misspellings or missing identifiers. You receive financial support only when you're submissive or compliant. Family members handle your finances but never share documentation. Attempts at sovereignty trigger retaliation, slander, or legal threats. You feel blocked or drained after every family financial interaction. This isn't mismanagement. It's a curse. Society calls it family tension, bad accounting, or inheritance drama. But when the pattern repeats across generations, when the suppression is spiritual, and when money becomes the gatekeeper to your freedom, it's not drama. It's ritual. They didn't just steal your money. They used your money to bind your name, silence your voice, and finance your erasure. And that's what makes it occult. Hi, I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and what you just watched is part of my signature program, the Chosen One series inside School of Soul. This series is not just a course, it's a blueprint for those who know they were different from the start. The black sheep, the scapegoat, the truth teller, the cycle breaker. Inside, you'll discover the family roles playbook, the golden child, the scapegoat, the enabler, the lost child, and how to finally step out of the part you were cast in without consent. How the black sheep becomes the goat, turning rejection into radical transformation and leadership. How to break generational curses and rewrite ancestral contracts so the pain stops with you. And how to recognize and escape modern forms of spiritual and technological targeting, from gang stalking to synthetic synchronicity. This isn't just about survival. It's about awakening, about reclaiming your voice, your lineage, and your destiny as one of the chosen ones. Click the link below to access the full series now, because the role ends the moment you decide it does, and the real script begins with you.